What does Father Jenkins think of the Roman Catholic Institute, located in Pennsylvania, I believe?
Well, I wasn't really aware of it, but you mentioned this to me earlier, and I did look it up. And actually, it's basically a creation of Father Sanborn. And we've spoken, with regard to Father Sanborn before. I'm not, trying to be unkind or anything. I actually pray for Father Sanborn all the time. But he is in my prayers continually. And I have a high regard for his intellect. But I think he's gotten off the track. He's fallen into the Archbishop Took orbit, was quote unquote consecrated by one of Archbishop Took's men, Father Robert McKenna, okay, was consecrated by, I think, I'm trying to remember the exact lineage now, and I'm sorry if I'm off the track, but he's like a third generation or fourth generation Took bishop now. And there was a time when he was absolutely opposed to it, utterly opposed to it. There was no discussion. But then all of a sudden, and I would say all of a sudden, he changed his mind and then began to blame those who didn't change their minds and who were still opposed to it, and for the same reasons that he opposed it in the beginning. Anyway, that's another story, okay? But Father Sanborn now is giving the idea. He's a proponent of the Gerard Laurier thesis. This is what is called the thesis of caciquiocum. The idea of what I guess they're calling sede privationism. That's my understanding anyway. I'm not a student of this, but I understand that he favors a sede privationism, in which he believes that the Novus Ordo popes have come out of after Vatican II and so on, are popes materially, but not formally, meaning, as I understand it, to kind of simplify it down, be very simplistic, that they occupy the chair of Peter, but they don't have the authority of Peter. And they can't have the authority of Peter as successor of Peter until they have the faith, profess the faith, and remove all the obstacles. And yet they somehow physically fill the chair of Peter. So to that extent, they're materially the Pope, but formally not the Pope. Because I find that thesis to be utterly novel and unheard of in the annals of church history. Right? I don't know of anyone who has voiced this idea that you can split the papacy into material papacy and formal papacy. I think it's a complete invention, and I don't see how that even could possibly apply to the Catholic teaching on the papacy. Again, I'd have to say that the Catholic, what is it called? Roman Catholic Institute. I'd be very wary of that. Whereas Father Sanborn and others like Father, Joseph Selway comes from him, and Reverend Selway and so on. I mean, the Society of St. Pius V does say that there is a serious objective doubt about the validity of these ordinations and consecrations coming from Archbishop Took. And I think we have grounds and reasons and arguments that show that there's at least an objective doubtfulness of these things. So we can't just assume that they're okay, we can't assume they're valid. There's a definite question mark, or shadow over them. And by the way, we're not the only ones. There are others who find them doubtful too. I would say the Roman Catholic Institute has a fine name, but what's behind the name, I think, is kind of dubious. And I would just warn people to be very careful there. I say that sadly, because I wish it weren't so, but as far as I can see, it is so. And so there you are.